All right, welcome everyone. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting for today, Tuesday, November 28th, 2023 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 1046, adequate notice of the meeting has been provided by submission of the notice of the date, time, and location to the Star-Ledger on January 11th, 2023, and the Hunterdon County Democrat on January 12th, 2023. Notice, and to the extent known, the agenda of this meeting have been posted at North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, Califon Borough, the town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted on the district website. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. At this time, please silence all cell phones. We have a roll call, please.
Ms. Bonomi?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Ms. Carcillo? Mr. Karganich?
Here.
Ms. Gallo?
Here.
Ms. Hintz?
Here.
Ms. Botran?
Here.
Mr. Mealy?
Here.
Ms. Salino?
Here.
Mr. Svanson?
Here.
Mr. Viato? Ms. Viato?
I'm here.
My apologies, Mr. Kirkpatrick.
All good.
Here.
There is a Mr. out there, he's just not.
All right, can you please rise for the salute to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda item 4.1, which are the minutes from the October 17th, 2023 school board meeting? Have a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Kim, second by Jess. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Nicole is abstaining. Okay. Are we now moving to the student recognition? We're moving student recognition to the top of the list because student recognition is the best part of the meeting. Followed closely by the student representatives report, which is another highlight of the meeting, but right behind the recognition.
All right, thank you very much for moving this to the top of the list because I think it's the most important item on the agenda.
Definitely.
If I get the North students come up, and we'll get the Voorhees as well. Come on up, everybody. So Mr. Peterson and I talked about doing a joint presentation tonight to recognize the joint efforts of our Key Club and the amazing work that they did at both schools to raise money for our local food banks. So at North Hunterdon, our members of our Key Club challenged each department to see who could donate the most food, and then they provided it was a golden turkey trophy and a breakfast. I didn't see the golden turkey trophy, but the math department won. And at North, we're proud to announce that we raised over 1,800 pounds of food, and yeah, that's pretty impressive. They also partnered with ShopRite, and so each family that came to pick up a food donation was also provided with a turkey by ShopRite. And so, again, at North Hunterdon, what happened was we collected the food. Our custodians, along with some other folks, helped transport that food down to Clinton Township Middle School, where it was sorted. And then each family got a bag with the turkey. And our students helped to do that. So they really went above and beyond this year. So I want to recognize the North students recognized tonight. The president of our Key Club is Caroline Antonasio. Carol, where are you at? There you are. No? There you are. Sanjana Mandani is the vice president. There she is. The secretary is Amelia Reitman. She's not here. Adeshola Aid is our treasurer. Adeshola. Not joining us tonight, I think we have also is our webmaster Alexis Ondivic and our editor Annika Hoyer. So again, great job to our entire Key Club at North Hunterdon.
So I could just say ditto to a lot of those things, but so they did work, in collaboration with each other. Voorhees raised over 1,400 pounds worth of food. Our competition is always around Spirit Fest, so it's between the classes, and I believe that the seniors right? Won the food drive this year. They usually do. It's usually the seniors, and it kind of follows suit juniors, sophomores, and then freshmen. And then that counts towards their points for the overall Who Wins Spirit Fest, our big celebration before the milk can game. So I would like to recognize those that are here. We're just missing one. Andressa Di Oliveira, I got that, okay. Declan Gove, Samantha Orr, and Sidoni Lyons. So thanks for all the hard work. I also would like to recognize our our advisors for the Key Club, Sharon Smith and Mitch Collins, for the great job that they do year in and year out with the Key Club to help those in need. So congratulations.
With the turkey?
I don't believe so, Ron.
No?
I think turkeys were donated by families or was shot.
Yeah, there's no families.
Oh, okay.
They actually like collected turkeys.
Yeah, we usually drop
It was
off
awesome,
turkeys too,
yeah.
yeah, love it.
So we had a big group photo for you guys. No, you can just hold it, it's fine. Alright, so your group photo quick, you know.
The certificate's out, come on, show them.
Oh,
There we
alright.
go. Proud. There.
Alright, here we go.
That's awesome.
Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, great job, guys.
That's excellent. Congratulations, everyone. Great work.
Worth the change.
All right, worth the change to the agenda. No, they don't even need my permission.
Have a good night.
You guys don't have to stay.
We're not interested.
It's a school night.
All right. Okay, thank you. Next up on the agenda is the student representatives report. So we'll start with Adeline and Voorhees this time.
Alright. Good evening, board and members. The last couple of weeks at Voorhees have been nothing short of fun and record-breaking. For starters, our girls soccer team was conference champions, ending with the best record in school history. Our girls tennis team was also conference champions, ending with the record of 14-1. They were coached by Mr. Mitchell Collins, who won Coach of the Year for tennis through Lehigh Valley Live. Our girls cross-country team won sectionals for the 3rd year in a row. They were led to victory by Mr. David DeWolf, who also won Coach of the Year, but for girls cross-country. Also, other exciting sports news, the Voorhees football team beat North 35-14 and returned the can to where it belongs. Senior player Brandon Persija became the 6th player in Voorhees history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in a season. Our unified program participated in their annual polar plunge. They received first place in the most fundraising, being $15,683, as well as first place in highest involvement. We all enjoyed seeing Mr. Peterson dress up as Roller Skin and Ken. Last but not least, our drama program put on an incredible performance of the musical comedy, Something Rotten. In case you missed that show, we've got you covered. Both our unified and drama programs are teaming up to put on the show High School Musical Junior, December 9th and 10th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Inesh, you're
All
up.
right, so for North. So these last couple months have been filled with some eventful work in the clubs and sports at North Hunterdon. Firstly, I'd like to recognize the fall sports seasons. Congratulations to girls field hockey, girls soccer, and boys soccer for making it pretty far in the playoffs. Unfortunately, football, not as lucky. As these seasons are finished, we can prepare for the winter sports, including the brand new North Voorhees ice hockey team, and they will have their first game on Friday, December 8th. Looking forward to that. So, moving on, the marching band is also going to be marching in the Clinton Christmas Parade this Friday, and they will be following it up with their very fun Christmas party at North. The marching band is also looking for new members, especially younger students, if anyone knows anyone interested in joining. On the club side, the junior class officers just had a very successful thrift shop fundraiser, And they took recycled donated clothes that students and staff donated, and they sold it, making over $1,000 for the junior class. And then again, the Key Club had a very successful food drive for Thanksgiving. I want to steal their thunder. They already had it. But, and then with the senior class officers, we are having a fat head fundraiser right now. We have like these big fat heads that people can buy for winter sport athletes or any fat heads. And hopefully it'll help cut some prom costs. Also, it's on the agenda tonight actually, but I'm very excited for the upcoming North News, known as the Roar Report. So we're getting the logistics down, but it should be hopefully starting this week. And it should help everyone with some student involvement, getting information out about clubs and different activities, and just overall understanding of what's happening at North in the student body. Lastly, I want to mention some of the improvements to the building at North Hunterdon. The gold gym is freshly painted. It was painted green. We're getting the gold on soon now. And it's looking a lot newer and nice. I also noticed many brand new doors throughout the building. And while I'm not an expert in doors, they do look very nice. They have some good functionality. But, yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Anesh. Anybody have any questions for Anesh or Adeline?
Thanks.
All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, next up, which is probably the third most exciting thing, is the audit presentation. Mr. Andrew Kaczynski is going to present the 2022-2023 audit summary and synopsis. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So prior to the meeting starting, I passed everyone out a little 4-page breakdown. This is basically going to be what we're going to go through, just to give you a feel of everything, the financial situation of the district as of June 30th, 2023, and how we performed during the 2022-23 year. So at the top of the first page, the first part, probably the most important part to the district that I want to direct your attention to, is the breakdown of your fund balance as of June 30th, 2023 in your general fund. If you look in that center column that's bold, you'll see that the balances there. Our capital reserve ended with $12.7 million. Maintenance reserve ended with $1.7 million. The excess surplus for 2024, which is what we're using in the current year's budget, was $4,559,000. The excess surplus generated in 2022-23, which we'll use in the 24-25 budget, was $5.5 million. Unemployment compensation ended with a balance of $656,000. We had $1 million of encumbrances. And in addition to the $4,559,000 that we had in excess surplus that we were using in this year's budget, you'll also see there that we're using another $1,079 in the 2023-24 budget as well. And we ended with unassigned fund balance of $2.1 million. That has been, for the last few years, 4% of your total expenditures with some adjustments done to it. That started during the pandemic, so it was for 2021 and 22. That's now sunset, so we're back to 2%, which is historically what it's always been. So again, the overall fund balance was $28 million at the end of the year, an increase of about $2 million. Directly below that, you're just going to see it's a little breakdown of year over year, what we've used for 2022-23, what we're using in 23-24, and what we're using so far in 24-25 to build the budget. So you see there, it's been pretty much consistent. So we like to see a consistency in there. We did have a little peak this year. Because of that change in the calculation, we had a little bit of an increase there, but we don't predict that to be any sort of indication of any kind of issue. So nothing to worry about at this time. Below that, you're going to see where how our capital reserve and our maintenance reserve changed over the year. So for capital reserve, we started with $9.6 million, and we earned about $100,000 of interest. We were able to move $3 million at the end of the year to put it into there. That's through the June resolution that you pass every year. We also had $109,000 that we took out by board resolution during the year, and of that we had $56,000 which wasn't spent. When that money's not spent, that has to be returned back to the capital reserve. So that's how we got back to our $12.7 million. For the maintenance reserve, a lot simpler. We started with $1.7 million about. We had $19,000 of interest, and that's how we got to the $1,712,000 that you see there. At the top of the second page, you'll see the food service fund, and I'm just going to take a moment to go through the activity for there. So again, the center column, you'll see that we had operating revenue of $1.8 million. We had non-operating revenue of about $7,000. And we had total operating expenses of $1.7 million. And then that tiny little $73 there was just a transfer from the general fund. So it's nothing important again. But overall, we had a $95,000 increase in our total position in the food service fund. And we ended with capital assets of $232,000, an unrestricted balance of $405,000, leaving us a total net position of $638,000. Directly below that, you'll see the long-term liabilities for the district. This includes all of your debt as well as your pension liability. So for serial bonds, we paid down $600,000 and ended with $6.3 million. Compensated absences, we had accruals of $146,000 and we paid out $112,000, bringing us to an ending balance of $3.1 million. Leases payable, we had new leases of $287,000. And we paid down about $87,000 of leases, leaving us with an ending balance of $224,000. Finance purchases payable, we paid off $806,000, leaving us with a balance of $3,852,000. Excuse me. Net pension liability, totally out of our control. What happens with net pension liability happens. We pay our portion of it every year, and then we have actuarial valuations and all kinds of things that impact this. This particular year, it happened to increase, so it went up by about $2 million. So we had an ending position in there of $9.6 million, leaving us with total liabilities, long-term liabilities, excuse me, of a little bit over $23 million. On to the next page. I don't know that we're going to pull this out of next year, but this has been around for a little while. It's just a notice. We haven't had any issues in any of our testing for the district, but you'll see here highlighted COVID-19 federal funding. All that we're saying is to keep everything on record. Katie, Hannah, the rest of the staff upstairs, they do a really great job with that. Don't doubt that you would have any issue giving them anything that they want. But it's just a note from us to make sure that you have these records on file and available in the event that you are subject to any sort of monitoring. And then, of course, everyone's favorite is onto the very last page. We have no recommendations in the current year. We had no recommendations in the prior year, so no comments to make on prior year recommendations either. So, if anyone has questions, I'd be more than happy. Yes?
Question, given the inflationary situation with respect to food items and food service in general, do we think that next year we're going to see a significant increase in operating costs?
Yeah, I've already seen it a lot.
Okay.
The district here happens to fall into a situation where it hasn't impacted you yet.
Yeah.
That's not to say that it won't. In my estimation, I would say that with a lot of my districts, I've said to them, you see that your costs have gone up so much more than what you're receiving, that they might be looking into changing their meal pricing and going through that whole process, which is like, it's a difficult process to go through. No one likes doing it. But as of right now, it looks like your meal pricing was a little bit more in line with where it should have been. So for now, I would monitor it closely, and I would hate to be up here next year saying, well, you know how I told you that, But as of right now, I mean, you're still generating a little bit, which is good because that affords us the ability when equipment has to be replaced or if we need to buy things to support the cafeteria operations that we can. But yes, definitely keep an eye on it. I'm sure that Katie does, but yeah, definitely. Anyone else?
Any other questions for Mr. Kuczynski?
I have a question. I'm not sure it's for you, but it was prompted. My question was prompted by one of the reports. It's the bigger one. Summary.
The big one?
Call it
This guy?
ACFR.
Yeah, yep.
And it's the operating expenses. This is kind of like what the bank accounts are. And then there's this figure A4 about operating expenses.
Figure A4. So figure A4 is presented on a GAAP basis. So in figure A4, any changes in the
pension liabilities, anything that, so the district really operates on a budgetary basis.
Okay.
Sure.
Let me just get, my question
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
that there was a big change from 21-22 to 22-23 in the instructional expenses. Went down by quite a bit, almost $5.5 million. So that, as an auditor, you're just stating the facts, but really what was behind? That's kind of the first time I've seen that put together, that it's gone, what we're basically paying for teaching has went down quite a bit between 22-23 and 21-22 to 22-23. Is that a COVID thing, or is it?
That's something I'm gonna have to look into. I can't answer that sitting here.
Oh, okay.
And it's also how they define instructional costs. That's not solely limited to teacher salaries.
Okay.
So I'll have to look at that and I'll get back to you.
Just to give you a little bit more information on that,
Again,
again,
the change in like the net pension liability, that gets distributed amongst the groups for which the pension applies to. So that would hit against your instructional lines. So that could potentially be an impact there. There's a lot of things that can impact this because when you go from just the budgetary basis over to the GAAP basis, a lot of things come into play that aren't how you typically look at your operations.
if you wanted a better gauge of comparing,
apples to apples, there's another schedule further back in the report. It's after like the long note section. It's called the C1. If you were to compare that for this year with last year, that would give you a better representation of realistically the operations of the district.
Okay. My interest is usually in if it's telling us something about the level of, or the amount of teachers that are on staff or something like that. I'll wait for follow-up.
Further questions or comments? Discussion? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve the receipt and acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report and the auditor's management report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, as prepared by the district's appointed certified Nicole. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Grissel-Williams is absent. Mr. Furbanich?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Ms. Cochran?
Yes.
Mr. Mueller?
yes.
Ms. Selena?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Ms. Vieta?
Yes.
And Mr. Kirkland?
Yes. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
It is now time for the Chief School Administrator's report.
So I'd like to thank Maren for helping me because we were able to put together a superintendent's report that didn't mimic everything the student board reps said. Congratulations to 14 music students from our district that were recently selected to participate in the College of New Jersey Honors Wind Ensembles. Band directors from over 40 New Jersey schools nominated their top students for these groups, and the TCNJ Music Department selected over 150 students to participate. Students performed on November 19th, and the full press release is on our website. Congratulations to Voorhees High School and their AP teachers, as the school has been recognized with a silver level of distinction in the College Board's AP School Honor Roll, which recognizes schools whose AP programs are delivering results for students while broadening access. Only 30% of schools in the United States and Canada were eligible for the honor roll. Again, more information on this is on our website. And the annual winter concerts will once again be held at the schools and free of charge. North Hunterdon will perform on Thursday, December 7th and 14th, and Voorhees will perform on December 12th and the 14th. The HIB report for this month, there were 8 investigations. 5 of those investigations were founded. And just a reminder from last month, we had 3 investigations and 1 was founded, and I need a motion for that one.
Yes, can I get a motion and a second to affirm the determinations on the HIB incidents reported at the October 17th, 2023 school board meeting? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Jess, second by Deb. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstention, Kim. Thank you.
Also on the agenda is approval of the statement of assurance and the district performance reviews for the New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum. This is a triennial audit that is conducted by the state. They come into all the districts in the state and they look at 5 areas: governance, instruction, personnel, fiscal management, and operations. Attached were the DPRs, or the district performance reviews. Does anybody have any questions about any of those?
Yes, so now we have a public comment session focused. So during this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the board with questions or comments on the NJQSAC District Performance Review. The public is requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and state their name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and direct their comments to the school board president. Once again, this is just for comments regarding the NJQSAC District Performance Review. I see no public comment on the QSAC review. So can I get a motion and a second to approve resolution 112823-3 to submit the NJQSAC Statement of Assurance and District Performance Review? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Deb,
Second.
second by Beth. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And the monthly reports are attached for your information.
Thank you. Now on to the school board president's report. I am happy to announce the official school board election results from November 7th, 2023, and congratulations to Christina Cagno, representing Califon Borough and Tewksbury Township, Cynthia Reyes, representing Clinton Township and Lebanon Borough, Brian Chapman, representing Clinton Township, Lebanon Borough, and Brendan McIsaac, representing the town of Clinton, Franklin Township, and Glen Gardner Borough. Congratulations to everyone who was elected. And now, I'm going to congratulate myself. Recognition of outgoing board members. We have 3 outgoing board members tonight, Deb Bonomi, Shelley Criscologo, and yours truly. And so I just wanted to say a few words. Deb is here, and I just wanted to thank Deb for her 4 years of awesome service on the board representing Califon and Tewksbury. You know, Deb has, in those 4 years, had leadership roles in almost every year, whether it's vice president or committee chairperson. And I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you for a job well done.
Thank you.
And here's your. And Shelley's not here, but if she were here, I would thank her for her 6 years of service on the board. She's also been a fantastic board member in those 6 years. Been a great voice for our students and our faculty and our administration and the community. And I just wanted to thank her in absentia. So congratulations, Shelley.
And not because it would be awkward that Rob gave his own plaque. Because I want to present this to you, because I really appreciate the 6 years that you've been on the board, the 3 of those years serving as board president. Since I've been in the district, you are the president I've worked with the most, and I have really appreciated everything you've done, the way that you've conducted yourself, the grace with which you've handled the position, the way you've navigated some pretty difficult and touchy situations. So I thank you very much for your service.
All right,
Ron.
thank you. Okay, well, that was fun, so thank you. All right, I did just want to say, just because I have the microphone, and so I'm going to take advantage of it. It's been a real privilege to be on the board for 6 years. And I've had 3 children go through North Hunterdon High School, and so like I thought I really knew like how the school worked, and like it was a great experience for my kids going to school here. But it's been really a privilege to get to work with the administration and the teachers and all of you and the others that have been in these chairs beforehand. Like to really understand what it takes to run the district and how much work and professionalism and expertise and like just really great people it takes to make this big school district run. And so I just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to have done this for 6 years, because it's been really, it's been a pleasure. So thank you. And now, I did have a couple of other things to hit on. No, maybe just one. So on October 30th, we had the meeting of the roundtable of the sending district officers from all of the sending districts and the North Voorhees district that we do multiple times a year. And I would ask Deb to just say a few words to summarize the meeting, because I didn't prepare anything for it. So I sprung this on her.
So the group met, and it actually was one of the largest attendance sessions, which was fantastic. Really nice to see that momentum is building. We started out talking about any of the sending districts that are also putting together their strategic plans, because as I think it was mentioned last month, we mentioned that Tewksbury Township is doing theirs and reached out to some community members to be part of that process. So there are some other sending districts that are going to be starting their strategic planning process, and they like the idea that Tewksbury asked a board member to be on it for them. So they are going back to their boards and asking, do they want to do that? And if so, they'll be reaching out to us to see if somebody from that sending district will sit on their planning process. We then talked a lot about any collaborative ideas. Things that came up were everyone's websites. Did they want to do something similar? Everyone do the same notes on the website or links to that can connect to the high school. Again, all just at this point early ideas, but they're going back to their board to see what they want to do, if anything. Another collaborative idea that was brought up is coming up with a new board member onboarding program. I'm not giving that up. Although I did see Maren did a ton of work today on that, so that was fantastic. Thank you. So there are some, like Highbridge, I see Karen's here, has an amazing new board member onboarding program. So that's still just in communication, like who wants to be part of that, so that we're a little bit more consistent. But a big theme that came out at the end of the meeting this time was one board member mentioned that they didn't want the send-in district meetings to be something else that they had to do, like more action items for them, which is in complete contradiction to prior meetings. So the next meeting, we'll see, where they go with that. And we left the meeting on a note where some of them just requested that going forward, we continue to make sure that the high school is bringing to these meetings updates on any initiatives or anything that the sending districts need to know or should be aware of to help support. An example that came up was potentially from an academic standpoint, having Mr. Brown maybe attend one of those Zoom sending district meetings, like he could give an update on what's going on. We weren't sure if that was legally allowed, because they were looking for some academic information, but that would be just something so you would know. But on that note, with collaborating and initiatives, I loved what you were talking about with, are there any marching band or members? That could be something that could be brought up in these meetings as well, knowing that there's like a gap or a need. So overall, they're looking forward to the next one.
Thank you, Deb. Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Next, I need a motion and a second to approve the 2024 board meeting calendar. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Dan,
Second.
second by Jess. Any discussion?
I have a question. So most of the districts have July, that's where they don't meet. But we have, next year, it looks like we have April, July, and December. Is there a reason
No.
for that?
The 2024 school board calendar? I don't, the one I'm looking at has June and then August. Am I looking though?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no
no,
July,
there's
but there's no April as well, is that?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The
Yeah.
change has to do with the budget presentation.
So when I put the calendar together, it's based off of the budget calendar. So when we have to have our public hearing, it's typically at a certain date after April, and it's just the way the next Tuesday fell. So I always put an asterisk at the bottom of that page saying that it could be subject to change. In January, we'll have our final budget calendar, and we'll be able to revise that and see
Oh, okay.
if we need to make a change for that.
Budget time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So the next board meeting is January 2nd at 6 PM, the reorganization meeting. All right, that is the end of my report. All right, we now have an opportunity for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the school board with questions or comments. The public is requested to sign the register provided for this purpose and to state their name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and direct their comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate, school board members will not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment period will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length unless there are unusual circumstances. Those appearing will be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak twice until those that have not yet had an opportunity to speak have had a turn. So if anybody would like to speak, please come up to the podium.
Well, we don't have to sign in first.
So, yeah, you can sign in first and then state your name and have that.
Rob, while he's doing that, I have a question. So we don't have, when we shuffle the agenda, there's no longer a old or new business before we go to executive session. I thought we were doing that stuff.
There is still one older new business section.
Just one. I thought we were doing it, I thought it was before the executive session and prior agenda. Yeah, one before and one at the end.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Good evening, distinguished members of the board, Mr. President. My name is Benjamin Beard. I am a Voorhees High School 2020 graduate. Some of you might recognize me. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Intellectual Freedom Fighters. Tonight marks the last meeting for 3 veteran board members, and we would like to express our appreciation for your hard work. We recognize that serving on the Board of Education represents a significant time commitment, one that comes with little recognition, but plenty of rancor. Thank you for your dedication to the work of public education. We are especially grateful to Deb Bonomi and Rob Kirkberger for your support of the right to read. Our district was first in the state of New Jersey to be attacked in the current unprecedented wave of politically motivated censorship. Along with that, of Mr. Chapman, Mr. Farbenish, Mr. Spanton, and Ms. Viato paved a path for other boards to follow. We hope that the incoming board members will learn from your service by continuing to uphold the First Amendment and enabling our students to freely access the information that is fundamental to a well-rounded education. On a more personal note, Some of these groups across the state that have been unfortunately infiltrating some of these school boards, beyond the books, beyond the right to read, have been making disastrous cuts to essential services to students, including but not limited to mental health services and library funding. During my time at Voorhees, these were services that provided me refuge during a very dark time in my life. These groups that are unfortunately being elected to these school boards do not represent me. They do not represent the place that my parents moved to give me the best quality education possible. I ask the board in this upcoming session to please consider the needs of the students rather than special interest groups that are unfortunately increasingly taking power. I hope and I pray that my little sister, who is still a junior in high school at Voorhees, has the same level of support and recognition that I did to help me get where I am today. Thank you. I yield my time.
Can you sign in real quick? Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Guy Citron. I live in Tewksbury on the Califon side, and my son is currently a student at Tewksbury Elementary School. I am making a public comment here tonight because I recently ran for state assembly in this district, endorsed by both the Democratic Party and the Forward Party. And I wanted to share something unfortunately disturbing that I learned from that experience. Whereas I had knocked on thousands of doors personally, attended dozens of municipal meetings and community events to understand our local economic, environmental, and educational issues, I'm sad to say that our district's Republican state legislators did absolutely nothing of the sort, choosing instead to hide from various opportunities to debate publicly while relying almost entirely on spreading lies about the quality of schools like this one as their pathway to victory. While campaigning, I heard the craziest rumors from otherwise intelligent and civilized folks that places like North Hunterdon and Voorhees were offering kitty litter boxes in the bathrooms for students who identify as cats. That the library was not only provisioned with pornography, but that educators were actively indoctrinating students with it, and that children in our system as young as kindergarten were being taught about sex as part of the not transparent curriculums, which are, as we all know, very much available online for anyone to see. Furthermore, I and thousands of other tax-paying American citizens in this district had our mailboxes spammed with fear-mongering propaganda mailers about how public schools, such as this one, were somehow catering towards a nefarious Democratic Party agenda to encourage students to disobey, disrespect, or otherwise devalue their families or parental situations at home. The problem is that it clearly worked. And even though our incumbent Republican Party state legislators spent all of maybe 5 minutes actually campaigning in the field this past cycle, they won solely on provoking the anxieties, stresses, and panics of our culturally conservative neighbors. The true cost, I fear, is the good faith and public trust earned by hardworking civil servants such as yourself, Mr. President, and your colleagues. in operating critically important educational institutions like this school. And I thank you for all your service from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Eric Leclinko, Franklin Township, and I have a junior in North Hunterdon High School, and let's talk about it. Teen Sex Guide to Sex. To whoever needs it, whatever your age. This is in the North Hunterdon High School Library, not available for digital download, only for in-person checkout at our library. I'm going to read from this book, because I'm exercising my right to constantly read. All right. Things to try. Stroke the shaft of your penis with different pressures and speeds. Try mixing up your grip on your switch hands. Whack it against your palm or give it some gentle bending pressure. Tug or squeeze on your balls. Let's see. Apply broad pressure and don't forget everyone's got a butt. Apply broad pressure to the outside of the entrance. Circle your butthole with your finger, pausing anytime a spot feels good. Don't just put in the tip of your finger inside. Let your anus pull it in when it's ready and instead forcing it. Dive deeper with your finger or a butt plug. Make sure you use that butt plug. Let's see. All right. Some more. Sexting. Before you start sending your naughty masterpieces around the world, take time to get friendly with photo editing software and apps. Digital apps are permanent and impossible to retract. Once they're out there, they're always there. I didn't think sexting was, you really shouldn't do that under 18, but where you have instructional guides on how to sext in our school library. Let's see. A great place to research fantasies and kinks safely is on the internet. There are tons of people and communities out there who you can share your interest and have all kinds of advice. When consumed right, porn can help you discover new aspects of your sexuality, help you safely explore kinks and fantasies. Let's see, what else am I missing? Let's see, oh, okay. All right, when you're ready to play with your body, hold on. Let's trail your fingers around over your vulva. Flutter your fingers lightly from place to place. Tug, pull, and rub your labia. Circle your fingers around and over your clit. Give it a couple quick pats. Press and pull on the skin around your vulva to make it taut. Try slipping a finger or two inside your vagina. Later on, try adding sex toys to your masturbation. They can bring a completely new sensation that you can't experience with just your hands. Boy, there's a lot of science here. Let's see. I didn't think we had this in our library. I didn't think that people just campaigned on having how-to things within the library. I thought that was a farce. It's right here. It's only available in person. Can't digitally download it, which is smart. Because you could digitally download it, it would actually probably break your digital download policies. So good job on that.
Karen Gove, Highbridge, speaking as a parent, a resident. a taxpayer, not as a board member. I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. But I did want to say that that book is only available for checkout, so, and you didn't know we had it, so I guess somebody told you to take it out. I'm going to put this up so I can sign in. I did want to speak about the second reading of policy 9130, which I guess kind of ties into this, where it says we're looking to make a language change. The superintendent may appoint a committee of professional staff members and community representatives to review the challenge material. If appointed, the committee will report its findings to the board. I think that's dangerous because this gentleman just came up here and read things that are just so awful and horrible, and if somebody made a complaint about that and the board was to say, oh, get that out of the library, without having a committee look at it, it sets a really dangerous precedent. So I urge you to please look at that policy and put shall back in there and get rid of the may. That's really all I wanted to say. I have to fill in my name, sorry. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, we shall move on to agenda item 10, curriculum, instruction, and technology. So we need our committee report.
The curriculum committee met on November 15th virtually, and we discussed two different buckets. The first was the board agenda items, 10.1 through 10.6, that are up for vote this evening. There was the home instruction update, the 2023-2024 out-of-district placements, that update, the professional consultant student services. This is just a list of the approved services that, if they are needed for student special ed, so just to vote on those so they're in place. The proposal for course name changes, there are only the 5 courses that are within fine arts. The changes to the course titles are to make it be a little bit more of an accurate description reflective of what the course actually is. The next item that was discussed was the annual approval of the nursing services plan for 2023-2024 school year for North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School. These are just the basic nursing services that we approve each year. And then the last board agenda item was the 2024-2025 school year calendar. Although it's not indicated on the calendar, it is just to confirm that the graduation ceremonies will be held at 2 different times. And then the second bucket discussed, as always, was we went over 2 different data sets for analysis. The first being chronic absenteeism report. The state chronic absenteeism numbers show the percentage of students who were out of school at least 10% of the days of that school year. And to please just remember that this includes both excused and unexcused absences. So North slightly went up, Voorhees increased a little bit more. So that is definitely something that going forward, the committee will be looking at with, obviously, the administration. The administration, based on this, is now going to be running reports at the end of each marking period and listing the students who have been absent 10% or more within that time frame, so that the school can actually identify any issues earlier in the year and work with students to improve attendance as needed. Reminder, 2 points, students who have 9 or more unexcused absences in a semester course or 18 or more unexcused absences in a full year course will lose credit for the course. Students who have a high number of unexcused absences can also be candidates for truancy court. So this is something that, again, the administration is going to start, continue looking at it at the end of each marking period instead of quarterly. The first period marking grades was the second data set that we discussed during the committee. The first period marking grades for the school year are similar to last year's first period. The total of 89% of the grades are A's and B's, with 62% being A's, 27% being B's. There was 8% C's, 2% D's, and less than 1% failures. North Hunterdon and Voorhees, for the most part, were basically the same results for this first marking period. And I believe that these are updated. I know when we met, they weren't updated yet because it was too close to the end of the marking period. Mr. Bruin is...
The grades have been submitted. It was a few days after the grades were due.
So they have been up, this is the most updated. And that's it. So the committee does recommend approving items 10.1 through 10.6. That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Deb or the curriculum committee?
Question on the calendar. I've brought this up over the years. 6 early dismissal days leading into vacation weekends or what. Why? It seems that those are wasted days. I mean, I think we should either have school or not have school. I mean, is it, what's the objective other than getting things started early? I don't know. Because it's tough to motivate a student to go to school because nothing's going on. So why do we even have that day? It's just something that's irritated me over the years. And I have a tough problem coming up with an answer for my children when I say why you need to go to school on that half day, because everybody's just already throttled it back, and that vacation period has already started. So I don't know if that conversation's ever come up, curriculum or anywhere else, but I just thought it was an appropriate time to make a comment.
Certainly give my thoughts, but you would be the more educated person to...
The expectation is that there's teaching going on in those days. If that's not the case, then I need to be made aware of those instances, and then we can address it.
I mean, I have spoke to families that because it's a half day, this child doesn't miss school, whereas if it was a full day, they would have not sent their child in because they wanted to leave early for vacations. So I feel like there's a balance. There's also a certain number of days that have to be attended by students.
Yes.
No, you got it.
Dinesh, go for it.
In those half days too, most of my teachers, they keep their traditional lesson key stuff. They don't switch it up too much. The only thing that I notice is the students' motivation to a class, and that's the only thing that changes. If it were to be a full day, I think it would hurt the students more because they wouldn't be motivated to sit through these longer periods, have to stay till the end of the day when they have this big break coming up. But I like the half day because it's a shorter interim period between these long period classes and then the break.
On those half days, are the teachers also leaving at that time, or are they staying to finish the workday?
They leave after the students.
So I just have one comment on that, and then I wanted to just mention something. So on the comment, my son actually had had exams on the half days. So that kind of lends support to what Dinesh said and what Deb was saying. So I have not experienced the teachers kind of lessening the plans or anything just because there's a half day. The other thing I wanted to mention, because I think it fits more with the curriculum, is kind of a carryover on the marching band, but the music programs and the theater programs at the schools are losing a lot of students due to graduation. And I think it's a really important thing for the board to continue to support the teachers who are trying to continue with these programs with very limited numbers of students and support for it. So I think I'm a very strong believer in the arts. I made that point a couple of times, last year. I think it really lends itself to a better education when students have the arts available to them, and I would hate to see a situation where some of these fizzle out because we just don't have the students that are making their way into the program. So if we continue to support that, I think it'd be helpful.
Are we losing?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Like, are we losing? Is the marching band?
No, but
The
marching.
numbers are declining, so
Yeah.
then do we carry a program when
Yeah.
they don't have a full,
Yeah.
percussion or, horn section or, so we don't want it to have not enough
Yeah.
interest and then have something come up where the program
Goes away.
costs.
Yeah.
I think the key to that's gonna be the sending districts.
I know.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
reducing in the
Yeah.
sending districts, so there's gotta be
Yeah.
something, I know.
That's a
the
roundtable
honor-
discussion.
Yeah.
Drooling.
Yeah. And so I was just gonna add that I know one of the things that the NHMA is looking to do is create a video of clips of different events that have taken place, so that rather than, they can't make it to all the sending districts to perform. So sending a video ahead and showcasing some of these great performances throughout the school year, whether it's marching band, the music concerts, the musical, all of these things, to show the students coming up that these are really great opportunities for them to participate in. I think hopefully that'll help too.
The key for that exposure, it has to happen before the 8th graders
Yes.
submit their plans for 9th grade
Exactly.
classes.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if they drop out of band or whatever, yes, they could get back into it later in their career, but
Mhm.
it's one of these things that tend to kind of start.
Exactly. You're right.
I
Absolutely.
think you need to start a lot earlier. You
Yeah.
can't just go to the 8th grade class. You've really got to connect with the elementary schools. What programs do they have programmatic? The teachers overlying, they need to connect. And because you're not just starting in middle school.
Mhm.
So I think that's
That's right.
huge. You got to track. So that's a great onboard topic for roundtable.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Have we noticed that on the freshman level that it drops down, but maybe on the sophomore and junior and senior level, it starts picking back up? I mean, senior level is a little wacky because I think that sometimes their brains are checked out ready to hit college and whatnot, but thinking that maybe some of the 8th graders coming in might feel like there's too much pressure. And maybe one last thing they want to pick up on, or they don't know some people that are going into those groups, you know what I mean? So that could be a little bit of an idea too.
It's possible. I don't believe, having gone to the concerts and things over the years, that I've seen an increase after the freshman year. I think that once they get into high school, even it's even more, if they're not already involved, it's not first thought, right? They go to the sports and then they do the clubs. And so it's really when the music and theater is ingrained in you at the earlier ages, like you've said, that they continue with it and it's reinforced.
Didn't they used to do skits? Rob, you guys would know, Jessica, didn't they used to go down to the middle school, elementary school, they go in groups from the band, from our theater,
Yeah.
and they would,
They still do that.
they still do that?
Yeah, they still do. I don't think they can get to every school because there's a cost to get the kids there and everything. So they try to hit some of them, but they don't go to elementary schools, which I think is a really good point.
Maybe they,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
food for thought.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
No problem. Any other discussion on curriculum, instruction, and technology report?
Can't say senior moment. Wow, okay. Absenteeism, that was the question. So has there been any stats or any kind of information coming up from the K through 8s that their absenteeism is also up?
We haven't asked for that information, I don't have it.
Yeah, because I was just thinking maybe it's, maybe it's not just a high school thing, maybe it's just a all-out school thing. And wasn't that in our curriculum? That's not in here now. Wasn't there charts?
On
Did I miss one?
on the absenteeism,
Yeah.
that was just for
In-
high schools.
Oh, I thought they were in here.
In the committee report?
Mhm.
So after we had the curriculum meeting, like 2 days later, there was a Times article that
Mhm.
say that it's
It's
an
chronic.
epidemic across the country.
Yeah.
Was it in
Kids
just high
not-
schools? I did see it, but I didn't pick up on.
No, I don't remember it as that way, as all levels of school. And it used that term, chronic absenteeism, with exactly the same definition that Rich told us. It's so I came away from that, reading that article, we're not alone in this.
All right. Can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 10.1 to 10.6?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Beth, second by Deb. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, now moving on to policy and school security.
So the policy committee met last Monday on the 20th. On the second reading of policies, we only really discussed the bylaw 1052. Again, this talked about the reorganization of not having a nomination committee, about removing term limits. This is the second reading, so if this goes into effect, that's what will happen coming up. Beth has raised a question about whether we should or should not be removing term limits. Again, we were talking about that through quite a number of months, so the decision by the committee was to let that stay as it is and let it proceed to vote tonight. The other policy we talked about was 9130, and again, policy 9130 has added in May language regarding the formation of the committee. That is being changed to make it consistent with the regulation that was changed in 2022, so this was an oversight. Again, I'll remind that the reason why it was added in May, one of the reasons was because if a book is repetitively challenged and or if the form is not complete, it allows the superintendent not to do it. Again, if it's a person raising the complaint can appeal that to the board, right? So there is a process by which it can be raised back to the board. There was one discussion around that some of that process may not be well defined in here, so one of the action items the committee is going to be taking up in the coming months is to better delineate that, but again, there is an appeals process. We had no discussion on the first and only readings and recommend approval of those. And on the first reading of policies, we recommend proceeding with them all. The only discussion we had was on policy 5116. And Strauss Estimate recommended the insertion of the word youths in there. So if you look at it, it says children and youths. And it wasn't quite clear what youth meant or what significant added. So we're just going to get clarification for the next meeting. The recommendation is let it proceed tonight, and we'll provide further readout before the second reading at the next meeting to see if there's significance to that insertion. Policy 5871, working papers is being abolished. That's because it's an outdated policy, and working papers is now done online through the state. And then the last discussion, which was raised by Brian and again raised tonight, was whether or not we should have two orders for new business before and after. Now, again, we had discussed this number of months over the summer, right? So this has been discussed, I will tell you, I've been doing it a lot of times. So I'm not trying, I'm just saying, right, we came to the decision to have one.
Oh, okay.
But that being said, right, and Brian had raised this during our meeting, let's try it out for a few sessions, right? If it's not working, then, right, this is not earth-shattering, right, we'll bring it back, right? So that was, our recommendations, let's keep it, try it out for a couple of sessions. If it doesn't work, we can bring it back, right, through easy amendments.
That sounds good.
Okay, anybody, questions, comments, discussion on policy?
Yep. So I'm going to raise, again, my concern about removing the term limits from policy 0152. I think that based on historical evidence at Clinton Township District, the Clinton Township School District, we've seen what can happen when you don't have term limits and someone can stay in the position of president, vote after vote after vote after vote. It had a significant impact on what was happening at the Clinton Township School District. And real, and I think even to this day has had an overarching negative impact on the school district. So to not have any kind of restrictions on how many times someone can sit as president, I think is a real risk for us. And I don't see that consistency of people outweighs the potential risk that we could be walking into by removing term limits. So I understand that the rest of it has to go through. And if there's a way that we can, and I would ask Andrew for advice on this, if there's a way to approve it as is and agree to come back and have the discussion. So approve it the way it's been presented by the committee, but find a way to come back and reevaluate how to address the potential of someone being elected over and over and over and over again, because you have a majority of people and they want that person to just stay in that role. Because I think there is evidence that it can have a significant impact on what goes on in the boards if you allow that to happen.
So Glenn, can we keep it for further discussion and take it off the agenda as a second reading?
I don't think we can, though.
Because we need to elect officers in January, and we haven't formed a nominating committee. So if we take the entirety of the revisions of this policy off, then we're in a spot where we don't have where we were obligated to have a nominating committee, and we haven't formed one.
I didn't think it was a mandatory thing to have a nominating committee.
It's in our policy, it's in the policy.
Okay.
We'll have 2 years to revisit this if we want to put the term limits back in.
That's true, agreed. So I think that that's fine. But I would like to, just going on record as saying I would like to have the opportunity to revisit this and discuss it and really evaluate any potential risk of not having it, okay?
And any other comments or discussion regarding policy and school security? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 11.1 to 11.4? Motion by Tara, second by John. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No to 11.1.
Abstentions?
No to 11.1 as well.
That's 2 noes to 11.1. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Motion carries. Okay, now on to finance, facilities, and transportation. I think, Dan, are you giving that report, John?
I am. I will not be as good as John, but I will try.
Thank you.
We met last Monday on November 20th. John and Shelley were not in attendance, not able to attend. But on the agenda, we talked about the audit, which we had the presentation tonight. I think the one thing I think we wanted to make a note of is due to the great work by Katie and the administration, there were no findings or recommendations. So I think that's something that should be pointed out. And we've already approved that, so. Agenda item 2 is the New Jersey Clean Energy Act. That's where we're working with Honeywell. And currently we have planned expenses of approximately $4.5 million of that $6 million grant. We are amending the grant to add projects so that we can maximize the use of those funds. And then we have something in we know which the projects are going to be, but basically what we're saying is that the grant has been very successful. Lots of repairs have been done and major upgrades, and we're going to be continuing to look at projects that can be used by that grant. The referendum status, the projects, the North Boys Locker Room, right now just the HVAC, we're just waiting for that equipment to be delivered and that project will be complete. The stairwell doors have been replaced at Voorhees. The pit stairs and retaining wall is done. And then at North and Voorhees, we have upgrades to the HVAC. For those projects, the projected costs were 6 million. We've awarded, based on awards, that's 4.7 million. So we potentially have 1.7 million, depending on how those projects end up. We could have opportunity to do more projects. Am I correct in saying that? Looking to Katie. Those projects will be done over the next 12 months, those HVAC projects. Polytech has been advancing. The administration's meeting with them on a bi-weekly basis to make sure that things are advancing and doing everything we can to make sure those projects are moving forward. The administration knows that they were making a point to say that they know they need to stay involved and stay on top of that process to make sure that they're protecting our site and making sure everything is moving. Exterior lighting was a discussion point. At this point, all the building mounted lights, so any lights that are mounted to the buildings have been converted to LED. There are still some additional lights that over the next 12 months, those will all be replaced and or upgraded to LEDs. Transportation, we had a discussion about, and please, Katie, jump in if I'm saying this wrong, but essentially what we're looking at is there's a bus driver, the description was being reopened, so to bring back a retired driver to specifically do the athletic runs, correct? But basically, the point is that we're looking at multiple different ways and just trying to attack this from different angles to try and solve the issues of transportation. Somerset County ESC is still working on that analysis. And then a full discussion surrounding transportation options and cost benefits will be scheduled for the January meeting of the Finance and Facilities Committee. The bleachers were budgeted to be purchased this school year due to their poor conditions. Bids were solicited and the lowest bid is recommended for the BOE approval. The idea amendment is to utilize carryover funds from the 22-23 school year and the current 23-24 school year. The HCESC rebid a transportation route that remained unfulfilled. A new vendor is being approved. These are all the other agenda items on the list. And as mentioned, there will be additional surplus from funds from 22-23 to be used in the 24-25 budget preparation, specifically for a capital project. The administration is recommending that the BOE approve per Somgen Architects to evaluate the classroom doors at both North and Voorhees. Many of those doors are in poor condition and are original to the buildings. So they don't meet code and it could be a safety issue. So the Facilities and Finance Committee is recommending that all these agenda items be approved. Any questions?
I just had a question.
Yes.
The route that we're changing, that V20 route, it's now, we're gonna have an increase?
There was a cost increase. From the beginning of the year, the original vendor wasn't able to fill the route, so Hunterdon County ESC was filling that route for
Right.
us, but they can't do that
And we-
forever. It was a temporary fill.
So we went out and we have.
We had to rebid and it
Okay.
did come in higher.
Is that, I mean, do we?
It's still a standard price, it's just
Okay.
higher than
Okay.
what they originally did.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, discussions on facilities, finance, and transportation?
A quick one. 12.5, the list of vendors that that can exceed the bid. We've looked at that before. Is it that maybe a new name came on?
Exactly.
And so
We
we need to
update that.
reapprove?
Exactly, we reapprove that list on a rolling basis depending on our purchases.
Okay.
Question on 12.6, district donations. what is the procedure normally when we get district donations?
The staff member who receives the information about the donation brings it to the administration's attention, and it ends up on the agenda, and the board has to accept all donations.
Because if we have a policy 7230, which gives grants and donations, which hasn't been updated since 2001. I'd like to make a motion just to probably put this in policy to have it reviewed and just looked at, update. 7230. And then the other question is, how we're...
Yeah, I don't think that actually has to be a motion.
Yeah,
I think you
that
can
was
just.
just a request, sorry.
Yeah, just requesting that get looked at by the policy committee.
You can have that one. And then the other question was, how was North Hunterdon selected? How was the staff selected for that? Was Voorhees included? And how were the books selected?
I don't have the information. Voorhees was not included in the donation. I don't have the other information.
Considering the amount of books, there's 21 books, I recommend that we table this so we can bring it to the next board meeting so we can do some more due diligence on books, reviewing them.
So I think we need a motion.
How do we do this, Andrew?
To table an item, you would have to make a motion, a second, and then vote, majority vote.
I make a motion to table this to the next meeting.
Okay. Any second?
I'll second.
Second by Kim. Any discussion? How do we need to vote on this? Just voice vote?
We can do a voice vote in like.
I'm not understanding what exactly we're voting.
So let me see if I can sum this up, and Andrew can keep me on this. Nicole has made a motion to table 12.6.
And not accept the donations.
Table it and not accept them during this meeting, and table it for a future meeting. Tyler?
All the donations are our books
All the donations are books
for this,
on this agenda.
does it, do the donations, my question is why are we tabling it? Is there something on the list that you're opposed to?
There's 21 books there that we don't have enough information to make the appropriate, sufficient, enough information to make an educated guess if we're going to vote on donations from books.
So Andrew, is it our job to inspect every book or every donation received like that?
It's the job of board members to vote their conscience with the information that is presented to you. If you feel, if a board member feels that they cannot vote in good conscience on it, they can either abstain from the vote no on the vote, or as there is now a motion to table the item.
Have these books been reviewed by the
By the librarian?
I believe so.
They were submitted from the library.
I also, as I was looking through the titles, was able to go online and review in general the plot of each book, which we had the time to do, so I'm not sure why we would need to table it. We do have enough information in order to determine whether or not we want to approve them or not.
I agree. That's why we get.
I had the time to do it.
2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
We have the agenda 2 weeks in advance.
And we're only required to get it 3 days in advance, so.
So the motion on the floor is to table 12.6, and we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion to table 12.6?
So a yes vote means we're tabling, a no vote means we're not tabling.
Correct.
Thank you.
Will the roll call be easier in this
Mhm.
respect?
I think you want to do it.
I think I'm gonna do that.
All right, roll it up.
Ms. Bonomi?
No.
Mr. Chapman?
No.
Ms. Crisalovo is absent. Mr. Parvanish?
No.
Ms. Gallup?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
No.
Ms. Bertrand?
No.
Mr. Mueller?
No.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
No.
Ms. Fiata?
No.
And Mr. Kirchberger?
No.
The motion does not carry.
The motion does not carry. Double checking.
Motion does not carry.
Motion is not carried. Okay, so back to the motion, the primary motion that's on the floor, which is approval of, did we get a motion in a second? Yes, we did, right?
No.
No, we
Not
didn't.
yet.
Oh, that happened first. Okay, sorry. Can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 12.1 to 12.12?
Second.
Motion by Tara, second by Deb. Any further discussion on 12.1 to 12.12? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I oppose 12. I vote no on 12.6 and yes on the rest.
Any abstentions?
I am abstaining on 12.6. I did have a discussion earlier. So I sent in a request and spoke to the superintendent as to reasons why.
Okay.
I'm going to abstain on 10.10, 12.10, and 12.12.
12,
10 and 12.
12, 10, and 12, 12. Abstaining. Motion carries? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you. Now on to community relations and student affairs. Tara.
Our committee met on Thursday, November 16th virtually. We had all in attendance were Rich Burgax, Mary Segala, Rob Kirchberger, Shelley, and Dan Stanton. Shelley was not present, nor Dan. Well, you were there, but you were trying to get on.
I was there.
You were there. We had Beth and, who was Beth, and it was just us, right?
Yes.
Very small.
It was small.
Very small. So we had brought to the committee the following clubs. And as we know, you've seen all the proposals and what the clubs are. The policy that we have for both school districts is clubs are based on student interest. They bring the proposal, what kind of club they want, that they get 10 students to want to be participating in it, and an advisor on the volunteer part, they can bring it to the board. So these are all brought to the board. The only one that has a stipend is the last one, which is the proposal for the North Hunterdon News Club at North Hunterdon High School. And the stipend is in line with other clubs, and it's one that the students are really excited about. So as a committee, we recommend voting yes on all of them. The clubs were pretty standard. There's the art club, and it's actually interesting because some of these clubs have been in the district at Voorhees back in the 80s, and then there lost student interest, kind of like when we were talking about band, and now there's interest again and advisors. So there's the art club, there is the Black Student Union at Voorhees, which during our discussion, Ms. Patran brought up about North having it, which would be wonderful if there's enough students at North that want to make the proposal to bring it before the board. There's also the Outdoor Pursuits Club that's going to utilize the high-impact equipment and local trails. And then there's the Spirit Club at Voorhees, which will be like the Lions Pride Club here. Same thing at Voorhees, which they have had at one point in the past. So our recommendation is to support all of these student initiative clubs and vote yes. Any discussions?
One question on the outdoor club. Since the students are potentially off campus, do we have to get them to sign releases? And I don't know, I think there's one for like sports, but I'm not advocating asking. Is that
We would ask them
necessary?
to sign the same, have the parents sign the same releases.
And would that be during school hours? No, they're just like any club after school. And I do know that it was called Discovery when I was part of it back in the 80s. But we did do some climbing and rappelling. We used to climb off the building actually, but we did do some trips. So that would be like a kind of like our overnight clubs. If they ever wanted to do, we went hiking and climbing on the Appalachian Trail and did rappelling up in the Pocono area of the Appalachian Trail. So I don't know if the club will get to that point, but I think if they were to do something off campus, we would have to approve like a field trip. I'm guessing, right? Okay. So
if they go on a hike, we have to, I'm not saying no yet, since you asked it that way. If they decide to go on a hike on the Columbia Trail, which is like one of the things listed, we have to approve that?
I would say that it would have to be approved if they were being driven to a trailhead.
So I guess
If they're walking from the campus down the hill to the Columbia Trail, I think that would be.
Okay.
Would it be the same kind of release as like the students that, like cross-country runs on the trails and they practice in the park? It would be the same kind of, for our liability, that they like off the campus doing activities? Is that would be like a concern, or?
Honestly, I'm not against the club, I'm just
Right.
asking. I'm just
Yeah, no,
asking-
I'm curious too about the liability,
Like
because
a
usually
sport,
clubs
thing like
are
this,
Yeah,
campus-based.
exactly, yeah.
Procedure as a sport.
It is a hybrid, yeah, exactly.
Not against the club.
Yeah.
They should-
Yeah, no, I guess if they're usually campus-based, but I guess we would have to look a little closer at the guidelines on it, if they were to do any outside events.
Outside on the property will be fine, and we'll work with the club advisor to make sure that everybody's clear on expectations.
We should have them rappel off the farmhouse.
There you go.
We have a use for it now.
Right, it'll be like.
Liability, Rob.
All right. Any other comments or discussion on community relations and student affairs? Seeing none, can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 13.1 through 13.6? Motion by Nicole.
Second.
Second by Beth. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
News is ready.
Okay.
I know, I can't wait to
I
see the
know.
first production.
Okay. Delegates, ad hoc committee reports, any?
December 6th and December 2nd is the.
Yeah, this Saturday is delegates, and it's just pretty procedural. There's a couple changes on verbiage on making amendments, but I'll be there on Saturday.
Nice. All right.
We were supposed to have gotten an update at this meeting from the principals of both schools on the diversity, equity, inclusion.
I have that, I will get it to you tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. One other thing, I meant to mention this during my president's report, and I forgot. So I'm going to do it now since there are still people here, because you all got, so one thing we talked about last month was the Exxon property.
Yes.
And like concerns and questions about should we as a district be doing anything. So I meant to read out on this during my committee and I forgot, so I'm doing it now. I had emailed to the board the brief email, but informative email that followed a discussion I had with Mayor Malay from Clinton Township. So I just wanted to read it so that it was in the record. Quick update on where things stand with the ExxonMobil property, what they are calling their surplus land, essentially everything beyond what they need for their current research operations. First and foremost, warehouses are not a permitted use on the property, which makes them prohibited. The township is currently working on an update to our ordinance that will explicitly prohibit warehouses along Route 31. We explicitly prohibited them along Route 22 a couple of years ago. The currently permitted uses are outlined in an attachment that he provided. So basically, what he clarified for me was warehouses are not a permitted form of use for that land. But to make it even more clear, they're going to be approving a revision to the ordinance which makes them explicitly prohibited along Route 31. Okay. So to make it even more clear. And then he concluded by saying there's ongoing conversations about preserving this land as well. However, I don't anticipate having more to report on this front until spring of 2024. Hope this helps. I will be sure to reach out should we need any assistance. So the conclusion of that conversation was that there was no need for the district to take action at this time, but he appreciated our interest and our expressing our willingness to be a voice should the time come where it's needed.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so anyway, that's that. Next up is personnel.
Best for last.
Yes.
So the Personnel Committee met on November 15th, and we discussed items pertaining to the agenda.
Thank you. Nice report. All right, now we are going to need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 1128223-2 for executive session to discuss matters falling under categories 7 and 8 as reflected in the attached resolution. The board expects to be in executive session for approximately 1 hour, and upon return to public session, action will be taken. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tara.
Second.
Second by Jess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We are in executive session. Thank you. A motion and a second to reconvene public session.
Motion.
Motion by Kim, second by
Jess.
Jess. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? We are back in public session. Can I have a motion and a second to approve agenda items 18.1 through 18.3, which includes a hand carry, which I will be reading shortly? Can I have a motion for agenda items 18.1 through 18.3?
So moved.
Beth, second by Tara. Okay, so 18.3 is the hand carry, and it is the following resolution. Whereas the Hunterdon County Vocational School District Board of Education, HCVSD, is presently in the process of constructing a new school building on the North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education's North Hunterdon High School property, and whereas HCVSD has requested the board to execute an easement agreement with Jersey Central Power and Light in connection with the proposed relocation and/or installation of a transformer and/or associated electric metering equipment on the property at HCVSD's cost and expense, which relocation and/or installation is necessary for the continuation of HCVSD's construction of the new school building on the property, and now, therefore, be it resolved, the board agrees to execute such an easement agreement with JCP&L and to permit the relocation and/or installation of a transformer and/or associated electric metering equipment on the property, provided it does not negatively impact the board's property or operations, and be it further resolved that the board president, superintendent, business administrator, and their designees are authorized to execute such an easement agreement with JCP&L in connection with the relocation and/or installation of a transformer and/or associated electric metering equipment on the property, subject to the language of the easement agreement being reviewed and approved by the board's professionals. This resolution will take effect immediately on this 28th day of November 2023. So that's 18.3, very succinctly put. Any discussion? We need a roll call vote.
Ms. Bonomi?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Ms. Chrisalova is absent. Mr. Carvanish?
Yes.
Ms. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hins?
Yes.
Ms. Cotran?
Yes.
Mr. Mila?
Yes.
Ms. Salino?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Beato?
Yes.
And Mr. Kirschner?
Yes. Now we have our one and only opportunity for old and new business.
Just the update from Somerset County regarding busing. I was just curious, do they expect that by the
I'm going to have that for the January.
January? Okay.
So we'll be able to report out.
Okay, yeah, I'm very curious on what they've done.
And then just a question on the DEI reports. So one of the members of the community asked about when we would be discussing the report. I would assume it wouldn't be the reorganization meeting, it would be the first regular meeting, right? Okay, that's fine.
Any other old or new business? Seeing none, could I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Jess?
Second.
Deb? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? We are adjourned.
Adjourn.